right, family. What's happening? How are you? Good, good, good. So let me just get everything set up right. And there's a couple of things that I would love to talk about. Right? Give you. All right. I think I'm straight now. What's happening, fam? Yes, yes, yes. I'm backity back. So there is a couple of things that I would love to talk about. And as usual, I really want to get into the topic today is going to be: Are we all brainwashed in a certain degree? To a certain degree, are we all brainwashed to a certain degree? What do you think? What do you think? Well, before we get into all that, I do want to talk about Black History Day just a little bit. And there was a young lady by the name of Thing Mo. If you haven't heard of her, she runs the 800. And she was the first from New Jersey that broke the record at 156.7. Now, this young lady is only 19 years old, and she's running away from the entire field. Yes. So, want to give thanks to her. They haven't talked about her a lot. She is residing in New Jersey, and she is from Sudan, Africa, actually. But she's an American. She's running for the American. And she's done extremely well at her very young age and dealt with adversity on the field as well, running with people who have been doing this for some time. uh, they can't they can't catch her. She's it's in her genes to run like she runs like the wind. So remember her name, a thing Mo. All right. Now I would like to say Mu at the end, Mu, but when you the way they pronounce it is Mo. All right, a thing Mo. That's her name, and that is for my Black History Day because we haven't heard a lot about her, and I want to be one of the ones who speak more about her. Look her up, a thing Mo. Look her up. All right, give her your support and let her know to keep pushing on and continue to be great because we highly appreciate it. Yeah, yeah. All right. So, family, I woke up again with another thought on my head, and I was thinking about brainwash. You know, because we know we have dealt with a herd of people who have been so-called flipped. Some people have been flipped against this country. You know, and the only way that if you were born and raised in this country to be flipped against the country, obviously something had been changed within your thought patterns, right? So therefore, we call it brainwash, being brainwashed, right? Now, when you talk to scholars and people with degrees about being brainwashed, they don't really like to use that word if you're talking about somebody who have been raised in this country to believe what it is that we have become to believe. Is it brainwash? Right? Now, I even went to the level of thinking, all right, teaching, when you teach somebody, right? You can start at a very young age. You teach that child to become whoever they are as an adult over time. Is that a form of brainwash? Are we brainwashing our people to become what it is that we want them to become and abide by the rules and the laws and the regulations? Are we brainwashing them? Are we teaching them? Teaching and brainwashing. So they look at brainwashing as being a negative because, of course, it's a matter of what you do when you convince a person of something that they normally had not thought of before or never thought of going in that direction. But when you constantly feed them something, that they slowly become acceptance of this thing that they're constantly being fed all the time. That's a form of brainwashing. And if you think about how society operates, they try to whip us to conform in a lot of ways. And by doing that over time, the laws have been laid down to push and force people to abide by these laws. And once you have gotten to a certain point in your life, you got older, you've been whipped enough, the more you buck against that so-called system, the more that system cracks that whip on you. And then it's trying to break you to conform, to get you to conform to what it is they want you to be, or the way that they want you to operate within their system. Is that a form of brainwashing? Is it teaching? Do you teach a child in that form or way? You think about when your child do something wrong, you got to chastise that child and let them know, don't do that. That's bad. That is not right. And then we try to get them to do differently. We don't want them to tear up the house by telling them, teaching them not to tear up the house. Now, we call that, because it's a good thing, teaching the children not to be bad. So that is considered a good thing, to teach your kids not to be bad. Now, let's say the child grows up to believe or to become anything, and they have been taught to believe a particular thing. And then they drift off into another group who thinks totally opposite. But now they're not sure if it's real, if they should follow it or not. And then that new group that they fall into have a systematic way of breaking them down first and separating them from their family and what they've been taught, to isolate them. And once you got them isolated, then you can start feeding their mind a whole different ideology. That is that brainwashing system. That is a negative. So when you say brainwash, people get offended by that. And you can say that in a common conversation. You can say that to a person, man, you brainwashed. They will be offended by that. They don't go deep enough into brainwash. Learning, or being taught, I should say. What have you been taught? What have you been brainwashed? I mean, look, you can look at it in many ways, right? Now, strangely enough, the way that I look at things, I would probably say the way that you've been brainwashed, it's a negative. Or the way that you've been brainwashed is a positive. Because the system in which we live, right? A lot of people like to say, I am not conformed to the system. I am not reformed to this system, or I am not whipped into submission of this system in which we live. So they buck the system in every turn and take that they can, because they feel that it's just a brainwashing system just to get you to be a part of their system in order to control people. When you brainwash somebody, it's a form of controlling them, right? Now, if you can look out into the world at different people and what they do and what they believe in and how they operate, and you'll look at them as to say, on a negative, that they're brainwashed. You see where I'm going with this? So this is one of those situations that if you look deep enough into it, and you can use your own life experiences to come to the conclusion if all of us are brainwashed to a certain degree or not. Because when you go to school, from the very first time you've been put into a classroom, if you had not been put into the classroom, you would operate in a whole different manner. But the classroom, you're there to be taught. And the teachers have to follow a particular script to teach you to conform to the system. That is a fact. So are we or are we not somewhat, or are all of us somewhat brainwashed? We all speak the same language as far as Americans, not every single body, but of course we got these different dialects, you know? But even within their own ranks of their dialect, are they conformed as well? Because they speak the same language. Because if you was not, of course, you would probably be speaking something that nobody understands. So, of course, in some way, some fashion, we are all brainwashed. Now, you can look at it in a negative. A lot of people would think by calling it that is negative. And some people would just say, you know what? If you really thought about it, that's kind of what it's like. Living anywhere for that matter. It's not just here in the United States. Any country. Even if you lived in Africa, amongst the tribes in Africa that did not have a system like this one, you still would have to conform to that particular system amongst those tribes. There are your rules and your regulations, your do's and your don'ts. So within that whole system in itself in Africa, are they considered brainwashed as well? I think so, because you have to operate within the system to survive. So that means we are so adaptable human beings. We are very adaptable. You can put us in any environment and we will adapt to it. So what do we call that? Adaptation. What? That's not saying it right, but that's the way I can remember saying it right now. Adaptation. You know, when we are put in any situation long enough, what will happen over time? There's only a couple of things that will happen. We either can't conform, right? And we fall into the trap of the don'ts of the system and either be killed off or die off. Or we'll be put into the system, right? And we'll learn how to survive within the system. Once you learn the system, once you've been taught the system, whatever the system is, no matter where you can be placed in the world. I was looking at my globe because I really wanted to use that today and I forgot to bring it over here. But you could be placed in any place in the world long enough and you'll conform to its system of how it operates in order to survive. Then you can still be a defiant type person, a defiant type of entity. When you're put into this environment and you learn this environment to survive and you come to the top of this environment and you start controlling on your own, controlling others within that system, then you buck against the system because now you've gained power through learning the system and being separate from it at the same time. So you had to conform up to a point of, in other words, you had to learn up to a particular point. And then once you've learned it, the do's, your don'ts, what you can get away with, what you can't get away with, and then you work it in a way where you start having other people to follow you as well. And with that, you buck the system. Because there's a lot of people, and all we got to do is look at this country and how it operates. Take a look at this country. Analyze the country in which you live by analyzing yourself. Analyze you and how you became who you are and what you believe in. Where did it come from? Where did it all begin? When you go back into your own personal history and you get to tell somebody about where you come from, what made you the person that you are today, you get to talk about your personal experiences on what you've been taught, what you have been conformed to over time, right? What you learned. That's who you are. That's who you have become. But if you go way back and think, what if I would have been put in another environment? Could I have survived? Could I have learned that whole new system? You would have. You would have learned that system or perish. You would have learned the system in which you were put in or perish. We get it? Now, that's common sense. A lot of what I talk about ain't nothing, but I break it down to common sense. Everybody else want to break it down to what they learned in school. How they have been conformed to use those particular ways to explain the meaning of. And it's right in front of you. Common sense. Watch, observe, and see how we respond. How you yourself respond to certain things. They say, go get a job. You have to work in order to pay your way in this country. That system. And what does everybody do? They learn how to survive within the system. They have to conform, or they'll pay a heavy price and possibly perish. So we all, regardless of how free do we all say that we are. Now, I spoke about being free as well. There's a certain freedom that you have, and there's a certain freedom that you don't have. Some have more freedom than others. But you have to work your way to your freedom in many, many ways. Will you ever be completely free in this country? Do you think you'll be 100% free of the system that controls this country, that you can be free inside of that system within this country, 100%? Do you really believe that? There are people fighting that right now, believing that they can do that. But we all in a box. Spoke about that as well, being in a box. And being in that box is considered the system. That box that we're in is the system. How can you work outside the box? You can't work 100% outside that box inside this country. Not 100%. You can do it to a degree. And that's the same as saying, are we all brainwashed to a certain degree? In order for you to work within that box to survive and put yourself in a position to work outside the box more than within the box, then yes, we are somewhat brainwashed because we have to work inside that system. You don't have to. You can just pack up and go somewhere else into a whole different other system. But wherever you go, there is going to be a system in place that you have to follow in order to survive. So the answer to that question, even though I posed the question, my answer to the question is, we all are brainwashed to a certain degree. There's too much facts out here. There's too much right in front of you not to notice. But let me tell you something about that. The social media platforms, as you know, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of information, a lot of things going on. You can just scroll with your finger now and just scroll up and down, and you'll see everything. That is designed on purpose. That is a purposeful design system to do what? To do what? What do you think that system is there for? Why is that system so powerful? One is information. It's a lot of information. Good, bad, stupid. It don't matter. It's a lot of information. And we all are gravitated to it. And we all are gravitated to it. right? Because it's a powerful system. It is designed to capture your attention. It is designed to spread information. Capture your attention and spread information. And by spreading information, it and in itself can be a form of brainwashing. Because if you scroll, and you find something that interests you, you stop. You're not doing anything. You're watching the screen. Physically, you literally stop. If you're working somewhere on a job and you're scrolling at the same time, you'll stop working and something that caught your attention on social media, you'll listen. The more you listen to it, the more you see that you have something in common with it, you want to see more of it. And they bank on that because that's why they allow so much information out there on social media. It could be the stupidest thing and it could be the most intelligent thing. But see, with all that information being flooded on social media, where you have the freedom to scroll and check and study, it grabs your attention. Once it grabs your attention, then they kind of know exactly the system works. Out of all the millions of people that have phones and have access to social media, you look at that many millions of people or billions of people in the world now that are having their attention grabbed by social media. Now, of course, it's a whole lot of different things. It's a whole lot of different information. They have to keep track of it as well. They're keeping track of the information that I watch, no matter what it is, good, bad, or indifference. That what you watch, it's the same thing. They're keeping track of everything. So be careful what it is that you're looking at. You know what I mean? Because you're looking at some bad stuff, they're going to know you're looking at some bad stuff. It sends a ping. It sends a big red question mark. This guy's looking up some real bad stuff. How do you build that? How do you make this destructive type stuff? It's a ping on it. That's their way of keeping track. They got to know exactly if their system is working or not. They know that it's working. They know when you're watching. They know what you're watching. They know what content you're putting out. They know everything. Even when your phone is off, your phone ain't off. How in the world did they even know I was talking about that in the discussion? And I wasn't even on the phone. You know what I mean? That don't mean just because that little red light or that little green light ain't shining, that don't mean that it still ain't got access into your home. Some people like to just take the battery out and totally dismantle the thing, shut it completely off. Some people are that way. I just accepted the system. I ain't got nothing to hide for the most part. Maybe I do. I may have a couple things to hide. I don't want everybody to know about my real private business, but they probably know anyway. Guess what? Ain't no shame in my game. I'm a human being, dagnabbit. You know what I mean? You get no kudos with me. Not with these little numbers I'm kicking. You ain't got to worry about me. You know what I mean? I ain't the one. You better worry about some people you better worry about the ones who got 74 million people following them. That's who you need to put your energy on. That's unless you're a part of the system yourself. That's just a whole avenue I can go. But understand, we all, at some point, at some degree, we are brainwashed by many, many things. Even when you go out and buy a car, think about that. You buy a car, there's a particular car in your mind that you want to buy. Where did that come from? From constant reminding of watching TV, media, in any way, commercials. They know this. They know how to work on the psychology of people. This is just a fact. Wonder why you like certain clothes. Why do you like certain clothes? You know what I mean? Why do you like to even look a certain way? Why do you want to go to the gym and get buff and look like cut, bang, bang? Why you want to look like that? Right? Why do you think? Because when you look at other people and they look like that, and they see how they're being treated by looking like that, then it sets something within you to want to look like that. So you work hard. Some people go overboard. They look like that plus. Those are your bodybuilders of the world, like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Lee Haney or, Ron Coleman type guys. They go that far. So far that if they find a drug that will give them the advantage, they will take that drug, even if the drug shortens their life, because that's how bad they have been conformed or brainwashed to believe they need to look like this now. They need to look like the Hulk fast, like right now. I'll pay whatever price. I don't care if it even ends my life early. Take 20 years off my life, dagnabbit, but for now, I'm gonna be the top dog, dagnabbit. Right? Where do you think that comes from? Yeah. This is why we gotta stay grounded. We have to stay grounded so you don't fall into that trap. We're already in the trap, but there's traps inside the trap that we're in. That's called that deep, deep rabbit hole that go way down, deep, deep down. What's going on with the TV? Dagnabbit, asking me this right now. Right? Understand that. And the TV even thanked me. Oh, thank you for letting us know you're still watching. Yeah. You know what I mean? We are all, up to some degree, brainwashed within this system in which we live. There's no way in the world you can deny it. I mean, you can deny it all you want. You know what I mean? But the facts are right in front of you. Matter of fact, the facts are even within yourself, within you, within each and every one of you. Look at why and how you operate. Look at it. Why do you think the way you think? Why did you make that particular decision to buy this and get that and buy this house, make your house look a certain way? Why do you do that? Because we're in a particular system in which we've been conformed to do those things. Because in that system, it tells you that it is good. That's a good thing, so you do that. So everybody inspired to do that. Inspired to have fancy cars. Why do everybody want to have a whole bunch of money? So they can be able to buy anything they want, to be looked at a certain way and have a certain amount of power. Where does that come from? Some form of brainwash. Money brainwashes people. Because the more money you have, the more things you can do. The more freedom you think you have. The more privilege that you will be treated when you have money. People will listen to you more when you have money. Don't nobody want to listen to a broke man like me. I'm broke. Don't nobody want to hear what I got to say. You know what I mean? But let me get money overnight. Let me be the one that get that daggone lottery. Let's just say it's lottery. I mean, it could be something else. It could be one of my inventions. I don't know. But what if I wind up being a semi-billion-dollar man one day? And the same crap that I'm talking right now, people will want to listen. Isn't that amazing? Why? Because we all of us, you, and even myself, brainwashed up to a certain degree. Because society tells us the more money you have, the more valuable you are. That's what society tells you. The high part of society tells you that 1% or 2%, whatever it is, 1% will tell you you're important. People will listen. You can move mountains with your money. But if you're a broke man, you mean nothing. You're not important. You're insignificant. That's what society tells people. But then the people at the lower part of society said, no, we somebody. Yep. But we want one thing we do realize though, right? That numbers matter. Where do we get that from? Because we look at people with money, when I say with money, they have a whole lot of numbers in money and they do a lot of things to get away with a lot of stuff. We don't have a whole lot of money, so we have to be empowered with people. The more people that we have, the more control we can literally gain. We learned that the hard way. You can't do it by yourself. Even a multi-billionaire can't really do it by himself because he needs smart people put in certain places in order to maintain or continue that money flow. You got to be able to flip the money as well. You can't just have a bunch of money and sit on it. You could, I guess you could. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know that side about life. I know the poor side of life. You know what I mean? Why is that? Because we all of us, some form, up to a certain degree of brainwash. Now let's just look at it. Look at it like this as well. Even though I kind of scratched on the surface of it. That brainwash could be a positive and it could be a negative. Yeah. Teaching can be a positive or it can be a negative. Learning, same thing. It could be a positive or a negative. Perception can be a positive or a negative. Somebody could say the same thing to two different people. They can say it to them. Or let's just go one better. They can text it to them, right? Two people, the same thing. Will the two people receive that same message the same way? You know what I mean? I got a feeling, because I've seen it happen too many times, that people will receive things a lot differently than the next person. You know what I mean? So therefore, it's all about perception, right? So that's why I'm looking at this brainwash thing the way that I'm looking at it, because it's my perception. It's way different than a lot of people may think of it. So I'm thinking of it in this fashion. I like to analyze things. I even like to analyze myself more so I can understand the world better, basically. I can understand why that person decided to do whatever that person decided to do. I can understand that. Does it really make a lot of sense to me for them to actually act on it? Not really, because there's so many different ways of handling situations. And that goes as far as your perception will take you. Your perception will take you to a certain degree and how you decide to handle something. Right? And then some people are just like, they blank. They're literally blank. They don't think deep into anything. That's a dangerous individual. Somebody who don't think twice. A person who would react on their first emotion. Where did that come from? His upbringing or her upbringing. Whatever they've been subject to in their ages coming up to be who they are today. And how they've been responding and nobody literally checked them enough. It's only because they haven't been checked enough, because the people who are supposed to be watching them to keep them in check haven't been checked as well. So in other words, that particular system in which they come from, it may be a very small system within the big scope of the system in which we all live, but that little system that has been created in that particular person's life, that's a norm. They have conformed to that particular system. And because they've never been checked, because everybody who've been even teaching within that system they come from, and it's been handed down from one generation to the next, and now here we are with a person who thinks totally different. Maybe they think outside the box to a point where it's a negative. You can think outside the box, but it can't be so much outside the box that it's a negative, meaning that it's harmful to everybody around you and even yourself. You can't think that much out of the box. That's a reckless way of thinking. That's a reckless way of being outside the box, not conforming to particular rules, regulations, and laws. That's a fact. All we got to do is just take a look, open our eyes, take a look, and starts to examine things. Examine them. Turn it over, look at it sideways, flip it back, see if you can see through it, see if it's easy to break, bend it back and forth. You got to really examine on the reason why things are the way they are in this world or within people. You can apply that to everything. You can apply that concept to believing in God or not believing in God. Believing in, being gay or not being gay. You can apply that same thought pattern to everything. Because really it's common sense. It is a lot of common sense involved. And life by itself is common sense. So, are you somewhat brainwashed up to a certain degree? You think? How about the person who says, nope, not me. I'm not brainwashed at all. Because the reason why they would take that stance is because they receive it as a negative. They receive you saying that you're brainwashed as a negative. So what do? They buck back. They get offensive. They start feeling like you saying that I'm bad. There's something bad about being brainwashed. Even though we do know there's a positive and a negative to everything. 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 Positive and negative. Just like the muscles in our bodies. There's a positive and a negative. There's a pull there's a push and a pull to balance it. There's a push and a pull in the earth to balance it. In the universe, there's a push and a pull to balance it. Yeah. That system right there that you see right there, we had nothing to do with that particular system in the universe. Where did it come from? Common sense tells me it come from something that we would never be able to create. But we're here, and that system is there. We're all a part of that system. We're probably a micro fraction of a micro fraction of that system. But why? A lot of people have been taken away from using that common sense about this system that we intelligent human beings have learned about. And then they twist it, just like some parts of the Bible have been twisted because man used their own knowledge and understanding and inspired by God. Goes the same with learning this universe of ours. It's all inspired by God, I'm pretty sure. Not to a point that we need to go out there and try to live on another planet. I don't think that was in the design at all. We're supposed to stay here. Born here, die here. It's almost like we messed this place up. Now we're going to go somewhere else and mess that up. God ain't going to let us do that. God is not going to let us just go out there in the universe and just pick something and go claim it and be like, yep, this is our place now. Mars is we're going to We're gonna have everything we ever wanted and have our own kind of people, everything on Mars, dagnabbit. And if all the ones we don't want, we keep down on the dirty earth. Now, you go up there if you want. You'll be lost in space, just like that movie. You'll be in a whole different system than what we know of here. You can't deal with. You get stuck in one of them black holes, boy. You are gonna be in some dark trouble, my friend. Y'all learned about them dark holes, them black holes out there? And from what y'all learned, it's a powerful entity. Something that we can't explain once you get in it, because can't nobody send nothing in the black hole and pull it back out and bring data with them and say, okay, this is what is going on in the black hole. No. Leave it alone. It ain't for us to go mess with. Stay here, learn enough here. This is where we was born, and this is where we should end it all. And if we mess up everything, that's what exactly we get, because we don't know how to get along. You know what I mean? So are we? I think so. I think we all somewhat brainwashed up to a certain degree. Think about what it is that you know and how you learned it. Look at the system from when you was a baby all the way up to how old you are now. The system will tell you exactly the common sense of it all. And it was all designed by very smart individual human beings. They all sat down at the table and they figured it out. Did they really have any other sources to go to and look it up? Like Google and catharsis and if I'm saying it right, encyclopedias. They didn't have all that. They had to go into studying with their common sense and put it all together. And over time, they realized they made some mistakes that needed to be changed. And this is what's dangerous about the way that we perceive things, because there's so much information out there that we don't know what to believe. We believe whatever fits us. If it fits you to be a racist person and they tell you God, they throw God in there, but you racist to the core, and you'll think that that's okay because the system in which you've been raised in have taught you that it's fine. It's okay to be that way because you believe in God. You're a God-fearing man or female or whoever you might be. That goes for black, white, or any other color you want to be. You know what I mean? Because that system has convinced you that this is what you should do and how you should act and respond to other people who don't look like you. So have you been brainwashed on the negative? Because if you're hurting people, then it's a negative. If you're at war with somebody and you're shooting at them to kill them, that's a negative. But you've been brainwashed to do so because of the system that's been built by intelligent human beings to tell you you have to conform to this system and even give your life for it if need be. Are we? Or are we not brainwashed? Once you create a killer, can you uncreate that killer? My common sense tells me no. You can suppress the killing instinct that they've picked up to learn to survive. You can suppress it, but you can't eliminate it. 100, you can't eliminate it. Okay? What got them there in the first place? Brainwash. Can you unbrainwash somebody? Some people say, yeah, you can. I think, you know what? There's some truth to that. The more that I thought about that just now, can you unbrainwash somebody? Can you, if you plant something in somebody, like in other words, you take a kid straight out of high school, very nice kid, join the service. They teach him how to be a killer. He goes and does his job well. Does his tour, comes back home. He got to be deprogrammed now because he's become a killer now. Is it possible to deprogram somebody you taught to be something? But there's only one way that can truly happen, and that is if the person wants to be changed. If they decide they want to continue to be a killer, There's nothing you can do, no system you can design for him to go through and eliminate that. Why do you think we have so many killers and murderers right now that we have to deal with? Regular civilians have to deal with a bunch of killers. You don't know. Your neighbor might be a freaking killer. And only one little thing will tee him off, and then go in the house and get all his weapons, come out and shoot up the neighborhood. Has he been deprogrammed or just suppressed? What do you think? First off, he was brainwashed to be who he was, a killer. A killer, you have to literally brainwash yourself to become this. There's a lot of people who are inspired to be killers. They want to be a killer. Where does it come from? It comes from somewhere. Let's say the family in which the killer comes from never picked up a gun or never hurt a flea. But the child, especially these days, a lot of people will say, well, Daryl, you can't blame it on these games that are coming out now. You can't blame it on the games. That would be stupid for you to do that. It's not the games, it's the person. There's something wrong inside the individual. It's why the person became a killer. But then when you go back in the history of the killer, you got to understand one thing about that person. What have they been subject to? What have they been programmed constantly, day in and day out, with hardly no supervision? Basically, a lot of these kids doing some of these crazy things, hurting people out here. They have no supervision growing up. Not a lot. Not the real type of supervision. That's why they get their hands on these weapons and they go out and do crazy things and hurt people. But then if you go back and you look into their computers and stuff, you see exactly what kind of stuff they've been involved in. Some of them involved with some dark stuff. Some kill them up and shoot them up games. You know what I mean? Black Op. And they make these games realistic, man. I watched something on social media, YouTube the other day, and I couldn't tell if it was real or not. It was called Grand Theft Auto. And it looked like real stuff. I mean, it looked like people like me and you, like right now, running around shooting people in the head and all this type of stuff. That desensitized people, kids. And you get a kid that's a little not too tight because they ain't been supervised, right? And then they get into this constantly. It's so realistic to them. Maybe they even dream about it. You don't even know because you ain't even talked to them about it. You didn't try to control it. You ain't try to back them off. You ain't try to tell them about God. You ain't try to tell them about good and bad. You just let them run amok with the game. And now they so in depth into the game. If you take that game from them after a certain amount of years, they'll freak out on you and probably want to kill you in your own house. Man, why? Where does it come from? Brainwash. That's a negative. You ain't gotta like or agree. Cool with me. But the way that I see things, I analyze everything by analyzing myself. I have to analyze me in order to learn how to put the world in the right perspective. Have to be willing to look in the mirror and say, I got a fault. I got a problem. I have an issue. I need to work on it. I got to fix it. Do everything you possibly can once you realize and recognize a problem within yourself. You work on it. You try to fix it. You don't just try to find other people with the same problem you got so y'all all can band together, run out there and try to overthrow the government. What's the matter with y'all retards? Dagnabbit? Maybe that is the problem. Maybe you're retarded. I don't know. I think you're just simply brainwashed. And when you get caught, you say you got some kind of mental problem going on in your life. That's your way out because you're smart enough to realize, yeah, let me go to mental game. Let me go to mental route and act a little nutty in the courtroom. They'll probably have pity for me and give me a lesser sentence or something. You know, I shot that boy because his music was too loud and I told him to turn it down and he threatened me and I feared for my life and I shot him in the face, him and his friends. that type of nonsense. Man knew what he was doing, and he knew what kind of alibi he was going to try to use because of what the privilege that he's been given within this jacked up system. Dagnabbit, man. You going to tell me that ain't brainwashed? Ain't none of y'all going to tell me otherwise, man. You hear me? What time is it? Oh, snap. I went over my time. Check it out. I don't know why I do that so much, man. You know why? I enjoy these conversations. Not even really conversations. Me talking to you. Now, I open it up for you. But y'all don't jump on. But that means y'all give me more room to talk. That's why I run over my time so much. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I love it. I love it, man. I don't like trying to squint and try to read them little letters on there, man. Man, bump all that. You know what I mean? But be ready tomorrow. Tomorrow, live at 5. Check me out. I'll be here. Live at 5. God willing. God willing, I'll be here tomorrow. All right? Tomorrow's topic, me not know. Me no. Just check me out. You know what I mean? And I can guarantee you that it will be from my perspective. Another Black History Day. Down. Going to the next one tomorrow. After February, it continues. It don't stop. Black History Day. Every day of the year. For all my black and brown people. Yeah. Check out that young lady, though. I want y'all to go check her out. Her name is, she's 19 years old. Her name is Athing Mu. Athing Mo. All right. 800 meters. Fastest time. She broke it. She's from New Jersey. 156.7. That's how fast she ran. Can't nobody catch her. All right. Second fastest person in history on the 800. Right. And go support her, man. Support that beautiful black woman. Dagnabbit. You say you a supporter of black people, then support them. You know what I mean? Don't give me lip service. Nah, I love black. I love all that. Oh, man, just go do it. Support them. Dagnabbit. Don't give me lip service, man. Or female, whoever you might be. Never mind, she a black, beautiful young woman. And she is beautiful. I think. I see beauty in everybody. You know what I mean? And I'm going to support her 100. I just wish I was like the way she looked. You know, she's nice and dark skin. Got that chocolate dark. Oh, man, I like that stuff. Anyway, enough of that. You know? So go support that young girl. She's 19. I think she just turned 19, matter of fact. I got to watch that. Just turned 19. And she is on track to be the fastest female at the 800s. So she made the Olympic team, man. She's doing great. Can't nobody catch her. Support her. Black History Day every day, 24/7, all the way around the every month of the year. All right. On that note, I gotta shut it down. One love, people. Treat people. Let me get it for y'all over here. Treat people like you want to be treated, and it'll come back around because it has for me. Go out there and support blacks. Support your people. Love your people. Stop fighting so much. Especially stop airing your business like that. If you're going to have a problem with somebody, take it in the backyard where nobody can videotape the crap. I don't know. But y'all got to cut this crap out, man. Anyway, that's me, y'all. Like it or not, Dagnabbit. Gang gang. Is that what they say, gang gang? I don't even know what that is. I don't even care. Listen, one love. Tell somebody you love them today, all right? Peace.